The disaster that happened, rolled on top of him, crushed him. I've got one of my many projects I need to work on today. But first, let me tell you guys a little story. As many as you guys already know already, I actually used to do lawn care for a living. I started out when I was about 14 years old. My dad convinced my older brother and I to start a small lawn care company in order to put him through college. He was about 18 at the time, and it would put him through college, and then it would also just give me a part-time job in the summer. So I remember my brother's first investment was a self-propelled Toro mower. And I remember he got on that, I got on the trimmer, and we just knocked out lawns all summer long. It was hard work, but we made it work with that small self-propelled mower, and it was a lot of fun actually being a teenager and working with your brother. Yes, I would say we had our share of arguments. I am very strong-willed, as you would probably imagine, and my brother is pretty strong-willed also. So that combination led for a lot of disagreements, but there's a lot of good memories in that also. Now I remember going to the Flower Lawn and Garden Show in Kansas City when I would have been about 15 or so, after we kind of graduated from that self-propelled mower, and we scoped out what we thought was the best mower. It was a walk-behind Gravely. So he purchased a walk-behind Gravely. He got what's called a sulky behind it, which you stand on and ride on, and I would trim. And then after that, we ended up purchasing my grandfather's old Toro walk-behind. So he had the walk-behind Gravely. I think it was a 36-inch wide. I had the Toro, which was a 36-inch wide walk-behind, and we cut a lot of grass, let me tell you. We did that for a couple years. We both ran walk-behinds and did a lot of grass cutting that way. But then it was about time to really kind of graduate from there and get a rider. So my brother went out and purchased a rider. Now, the brand of that rider was called a Dixie Chopper. That was, at the time, it was a 50-inch mower. It was a hydrostatic, sit down, and at the time it was what was considered the world's fastest mower. I always thought it was really cool to have the world's fastest mower. So at that point we had one rider and we had two walk-behinds. I would either grab one of the walk-behinds and my brother would grab the rider. And I'll tell you what, I thought we were fast before, but man, with that mower, it was something else. It took us to another level. We were able to just cut acres and acres and acres all summer long. You know, that was all until disaster struck. There's a lot more to this story, but first, let me show you something. So I talked to Heidi about it, we discussed it, and we decided that we needed to get something that was going to lower our maintenance time. And this is it. The only thing, as you can tell, it's not fully operational. My neighbor said he didn't need it anymore and he would like to get rid of it. The only problem was it had some issues with throwing the belts. So because I knew the mower from my brother's mower was a 50-inch, this is a 60-inch. I decided to dive in and see if I could figure it out. And sure enough, I think I know exactly what the matter is with this. I'll finish telling you about the disaster that happened with that mower. But first, let's dive into this thing and let's see if we can start getting it fixed. Looks like we're missing a belt by this belt diagram. The belt we have, it doesn't look like it goes to the drive and the blades. just the drive from what I can tell. So we'll have to order at least one belt, but by this diagram, it might mean that we need 3 belts. So let's see if we can get this put together as much as we can, and then we'll order parts as we need. We cut a shim down, and I think that will keep it from throwing belts. So hopefully, let's cross our fingers. Let's get this deck on though. That was a little bit of a feat to get that deck underneath there. So now let's see if we can get it all hooked up. Well, we're missing quite a few parts. It's mainly nuts and bolts, but there's a few brackets and stuff that I think are supposed to be there that are not. So those parts I'm gonna have to get with a service dealer. The nuts and the bolts, I'm gonna have to run up to the store right now and see if we can get some nuts, because in order to get this chain down here connected to this deck, I need bolts. And I don't have those bolts right now. So let's run up to the store, let's grab 4 bolts. That will allow me to at least get the deck up off the ground, and then the mower will be able to be moved.
I think 3 will do it.
Now we just need to find something like this.
I think that's match. Got a couple of these pins too.
I can't believe it's that time of year already. Well, I think we got what we need. Let's go ahead and head home and see if we can get that deck to lift up. That way we can move that mower. Well, we got the deck on, but it's not finished. The deck is suspended by the chains, but there's some braces that go in there that I don't have those parts for. So I'm gonna either get with the dealership who has this. I don't know if Dixie Chopper is still in business or not. I think that they went out of business a couple years ago. Could be wrong, but if they have, I think we can make those pieces. I'll just have to figure out what size, and we'll just do a little bit of fabricating. There's some research that I need to do, but it's at least movable now. Before, my neighbor dropped it off and the deck was separate. We had parts, the mower was separate. We had all sorts of stuff strung out, but at least it's all in one piece, kind of right now. We'll probably have to get a seat here at some point and get that fixed also. So there's a couple different things we got to take care of. These lights, you can tell someone must have put them on. I don't even know if they work. I doubt it. We'll probably rip those off, either put a light bar on the front or just go without lights. Most of the time we're not mowing when it's dark anyway. So if you've stuck around this long and you want to hear the rest of the story, I appreciate it. So when I was about 18 years old, we had been mowing for about 4 years, my brother and I. When I was about 18 years old, I decided to leave the mowing business. I got into commercial printing just because I needed something that was full-time during the winter. And so my brother continued on with the lawn care business. So he ended up hiring someone else to work with him who did all the trimming, a lot of the stuff that I did. Well, his Dixie chopper broke down. Like I said, it was very similar to this, but it was a 50-inch wide. And a lot of the stuff that I did, I trimmed a lot of the really steep hills, stuff that you really wouldn't want to take up on a mower. Well, when I left, there was this hill that I always trimmed, and he would run around with a mower just like this around the property, and he would mow it. His mower went into the shop. It broke down. So they lent him a 60-inch, which is the exact same width as this, but it was dual propane tanks. So there was a propane tank on this side and a propane tank on the other side. And the motor was propane. Well, that added a lot of weight. But along with that weight, they had springs in the front. So it was like the deluxe model, essentially. So it had springs in the front, dual propane tanks, 60 inches wide. It was a hoss of a mower, just absolutely huge. This hill that I always trimmed, when I left, he started mowing it with something like this. And he was going up the hill, and he said that, every once in a while it was so steep that it would kind of pull a wheelie a little bit, just kind of hop a little bit, not anything too terrible. This back end right here almost acts as a wheelie bar. So most of the time you pull a wheelie and it's fine. Well, when his mower went in the shop, they gave him the loaner that was the dual propane tank one. So he started climbing up the hill and he pulled a wheelie. Came back down. Normally it's no big deal, but he came back down and it had springs on the front tires. Hit those springs and it bounced. Rolled completely back, crushed his spine in multiple spots. So rolled on top of him, crushed him, and continued to roll down the hill and landed right side up. So my brother got thrown off the mower, and at that point, he said that no one was around. The person that was helping him trim was in the front of the property. He called for him for help, and he didn't come. Couldn't hear him. He's trimming. So my brother, with a broken back, took and crawled to the mower to shut it off because it stayed running. Why he felt like he had to shut it off, I don't know. Was finally able to get a hold of my father on the telephone. My father said that he heard the phone ring once. He left it alone. He was busy. Heard it ring again. Left it alone. He was busy. Heard it ring again. He decided, something's up. Somebody needs help. He was able to locate my brother. They got ambulance out there, rushed him to the hospital, and to this day, he's fine. He is able to walk. He's able to do everything completely normal. His back bothers him quite a bit, understandably, but by the grace of God, he is still alive. It did not sever his spinal cord, but he is still alive. So whenever I see a Dixie chopper, as you can imagine, I think of my brother. And so this is almost the exact mower that flipped on top of him, except for it wasn't the propane model. So kind of a crazy story, a little bit long, but that's kind of the story behind these Dixie choppers. Really good mowers, but have a lot of memories with them. And I'm sure my brother does a lot more than I do. So thank you guys for watching. Appreciate it. We'll see you next time.